and I made a real shoot video because I really don't play around too much. I'm a pretty serious guy, although I'm a nice guy. I like to have a lot of fun. You listen to the Mario and Chaos show. You listen to Chaos Corner on the Dino Costa show. I do a lot of different things, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. And I'm trying to come back and have some fun and do all this. But you ever want to do a real shoot and talk about the behind the scenes on the independence? Because remember something about the Guardian of Chaos and the people I run with. I run with Paradise Alley right now, my boys and brothers for over 30 years. Those guys are very, very famous guys, but and with all due respect and honor to every one of those guys and every guy I ever shared a locker room with. The one thing, can you still see me, Donnie?
I can't. You froze for a second. Sometimes Skype gets a little hiccup, and it'll come. There we go. It'll come right back there. Yep.
Well, I want to say this. This is something that neither Mario or Paul, Roma, Paul Perez, Big Steve, or any of them ever experienced that I experienced. And this is what makes me different. I worked for every federation, every territory, every company around this country and around this world. From a guy who set up the ring to sold tickets, hung up posters, swept the floors, performed as a manager, promos, interviews, commentaries, vignettes, hardcore matches, blading for real, broken open the hard way, everything you could think of, from double surgeries, back surgeries, 6 concussions with the best of the best. Okay, my friend, but I will say this. I didn't experience signing a contract. They didn't experience the behind the scenes and the travels and the rigors of the independent territories and the different groups and scumbag promoters and different workers and the travel and on the low end of the level to the mid rung, maybe to the AAA level of what the Guardian of Chaos experienced working all over this country and working with everybody. We're managers. We're the talent as much as the talent were. So I like to throw that out there, and we'll talk about real story and stuff that I've seen that they haven't seen. So we could do that someday. It's been a lot of fun, Don.
Man, that sounds like a whole afternoon worth of kicking back, grabbing a full oil cartridge, get the fire kicking, and listening to Big Daddy roll. That's what that sounds like right there.
I don't do too many shoot interviews. I don't do a lot of interviews. I used to back in the day. I was very much into the publicity, and that's what I like about the guys nowadays, or I think they should do now more in its current talent. You have to be and King Kong Bundy told me this when I was traveling with Bundy. He's another one who taught me about respect. He said, Big Daddy, you're a shame. We're out in Las Vegas working for the AWA Superstars of Wrestling. And Bundy says to me, we're doing an autograph show. He says, Big Daddy, you're a shameless self-promoter. You're a shill for yourself, aren't you? I said, yeah, I am. I have to be. He said, I'm not King Kong Bundy. He said, you know what? He goes, you're a pretty smart guy. He saw me with buttons and pens and hats and T-shirts. That's the only way I was going to make big money besides my payday to get over. I did it back then long before any referee or manager or ring announcer or podcast ever thought about doing it. Bundy took my idea. I saw him 6 months later. He had all kinds of 8x10s, gimmicks, this, that, was making money. He said, thank you, Big Daddy. He's another one that I want to talk about with a story of respect before we go. God rest his soul, Bundy, because he was very close to Mario, good friend, legendary guy. I'm working for the NWA territory with John Diamond and Tony DeVito. Bundy was on the show, and we're all hanging around, sitting around in the locker room, or maybe out in the arena. And again, this is where I learned a hard lesson. I was totally wrong, totally humbled, and deserved everything I got. And I can say that. So a couple of boys, here comes Bundy walking in, comes walking by us. Now Bundy's still a legend at that point. This is probably late 90s, still a legend at that point, not big in the big WWFs anymore. I said, here he comes. Now, again, not thinking I was being disrespectful, looking back on it now. I said, here comes this big son of a bitch, this lard ass fucking Bundy, this, that. Because I knew I was working with him that night, and another guy I was with. And he would hear me say, hey, Chris, so come on, hey, guy, little did I know. Get back into the dressing room, right? I'm sitting around with all the boys. Bundy comes over to me. He said, Big Daddy, can I talk to you for a minute? It's never a good thing with the big stars. If they say to you, can I talk to you for a minute? There's usually something behind it. So sure, Bundy. I had no clue. Get into the shower area, and nothing ever good comes in out of being in the shower, Kincaid, unless you're showering.
No.
So he says to me, he goes, "You call me a lard ass?" I said, "Chris, what are we talking about?" He said, "Hey, listen." He said, "Big Daddy," he said, "do me a favor, man." Now he's inching up on me. I'm like, "Oh, fuck." You know, it's like 450 pounds. Bundy's no one to be trifled with. Again, I don't take any shit from anyone. I'm not trying to be any tough guy. I don't back down from people. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. You be a man about it. Be humble. He said, "Well, it got back to me. You called me a lard ass out in the arena." I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Do me a favor," as he got right up on me.
Oh,
He
shit.
said, he said, "Keep that shit to the locker room amongst the boys. Because what you didn't know was my wife was sitting right behind you and heard you call me a lard ass and then pulled me over to the side and said, 'Who's that fat guy calling you a lard ass?'" Because I was 330 pounds at the time. So you see that there's, no matter who you are, where you are, there's certain times for things, and I can honestly admit these things. And you can even say whatever you want about me in the business, but I tell it like it is, and I own it. And I said, "Hey, Chris, man," I'm sorry, bro." I said, "I had no idea this would ever happen, no clue whatsoever." He said, "Big Daddy," grabbed me by the back. He said, "Don't worry about it." 6 months later,
Uh-oh.
we're out in Las Vegas, Laughlin, Bullhead City, Arizona. Super Class 3D in your face on Colorado River. Unbelievable. People giving me their cars with big stars. Bundy's the champion. Jon Stewart. You can't make it up. Good shit. Justin Roberts. That's where I met Justin Roberts, who from the WWE and now that current AEW ring announcer, who actually I didn't find out till recently put me over in chapter 4 and 5 of his book, WWE,
Really?
My Best Seat in the House. Big Daddy had to start up chapter 4 and 5, mentioned with The Rock when we worked with him, and with when I worked with Terry Funk in Chicago. Oh. So it was great for Justin Roberts to put me in this book, and I didn't find that out until years later. So that I'm humbled by that. Back to the story, because that's where Justin was, and Steve and Larry Gregorovic from the World Wrestling Zone, the owners, the two twins that work for the WWE, were all out there. Dale Gagne, Jon Stewart promoting the big show. Bundy's on the show. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, sorry. I adjust. Bundy says to me, he said, "Hey, Big Daddy, it's been a little while." Oh. Yeah, man, good to see you. We get out to the ring now. I'm with one of the disciples of Apocalypse. I think it was the Harris Boys, Brian Lee, whoever the disciples of Apocalypse were. I ran with Brian Lee for quite a while, too. Primetime Brian Lee. Because of John Diamond. It's another story. We get into the ring. It's my guy, Disciples of Apocalypse and Bundy for the AWA title. At this super class with the Gagnes, a bunch of hucksters themselves. Get in the ring. It's my spot to come in the ring. He avalanches DOA in the corner. I get up in the ring. I'm in the opposite corner. Bundy sees me. He comes around from the opposite corner, avalanches me in the corner. Well, I didn't go all the way down. I got down to the middle of the rope. Donnie, he picks me up. Got me by the shirt. Boom! Right between the fucking eyes. I felt it. Probably not full force. It would have broke my head. Glasses go flying everywhere. I went down like a sack of potatoes, down under the ropes. Didn't fall out of the ring. Caught me with a good one. I felt it, bro. He gets, now we're out at an outdoor arena, allegedly 30,000 people. I thought I saw 3. After that, I'm standing there, but actually laying there. He comes up, grabs the second and the third rope. I'm laying underneath the ropes, kicks me back in a little bit, and puts his whole 450 or 500 pounds on top of the rope, and does it like the ultimate warrior, and steps on the middle of my stomach, okay, until I begged out and couldn't breathe. Kicked me out of the fucking ring, fell over onto the concrete, dragged me back to the locker room. I'm in there for about 15, 20 minutes, man. I'm like, shoot, bro, shoot. Barely breathe. Fuck, broke my glasses. I fixed them. Didn't have a potato or nothing like that. I was back into the locker room. The Big Daddy, sorry about that. Chaos, sorry about that. That was just 6 months ago when you called me a lard ass. Now we're leaving. He didn't forget about it. That's what a receipt is. And that's another way the company of chaos had learned unknowingly about
Respect.
respect
Respect.
through the superstars of professional wrestling.